Hello friends, and welcome to the first race of 2025, again with the Vancouver Island Karting Association in the Senior Briggs class. So, I started the weekend feeling incredibly rusty after a few months off, but actually got back up to speed a bit quicker than I expected and felt like I generally drove well for the weekend, but only about 90% of the time, maybe even 95%, but those other 5% were comprised of completely boneheaded mistakes. So, you'll get to see quite a variety on display here, starting with this in the practice session. And that could have very easily been classified into the 5%, but I just barely got away with it, so I will count that as a good pass. And yeah, the practice session was going pretty well. I was sticking with the lead group here and generally feeling really good in the kart, even on this damp, somewhat drying track. So hopefully that bodes well for qualifying. So it's dried out quite a bit, but not quite enough for slicks yet. Made some setup changes though, and the kart's feeling great. The session though has been pretty scruffy so far. A lot of jockeying for position, as you see happening right here. I actually lost positions to 727 ahead, and I think it's 710 behind earlier on because I got up alongside Robbie Arthur when he sort of washed out wide on this first corner here. And that lost me on momentum, and a couple of them went by, and so then I passed one guy back on the back straight there, as you saw, but I guess he didn't like that, so he's fighting with me all the way through this lap. And even so, this last lap ends up being my fastest of the session, but obviously not all that fast with all this fighting going on. So I think at this point, knowing it was the last lap and I had to get some kind of a decent time in here, I decided to just tuck behind Robbie for the rest of it, push him along and get a bit of a draft onto the front straight here, and set some kind of time. Unfortunately, the kind of time that I set was good enough for, I believe, 12th place qualifying for the pre-final. So, gonna have some work to do, but at least the kart is feeling good, and the forecast is for rain, which I always like, so hopefully that comes. The rain did not come. So I find myself mid-pack on the outside column when everybody has slicks on a somewhat wet track. That's going to be fun. It was quite a challenge for setup too, because it really wasn't clear until the last minute how much the track was going to dry out, and even though most of it is completely dry, there's a couple places where there's rivers running across, one of them right before the big braking zone on the main straight here, and another before another major corner. So a lot of guesswork involved. Everybody goes for slicks, of course, but at least for myself, I went for kind of an intermediate setup, expecting the grip to be low, especially for the first few laps, and prioritizing the ability to turn in. I don't want to just be washing out. Anyway, let's try to survive the first corner. Not bad so far, but I kind of find myself stuck outside the train there and forced into the deeper water to boot, which obviously the slicks don't like, trying to make it around that corner, but didn't lose too much ground. Got a lot of momentum here. Have to kind of pick a lane, and I guess I decided to stick with 11 here and see if we can make up a couple positions on the inside. But oh, he really loses it there, and so I have to check up. And okay, we do consolidate here and get a good run. He wants me to bump him, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go by there, and I think I've got such a run that I can close right up with this pack here. Yeah, so now I'm right on Robbie, which is good, and I expect that he will have found his mojo for this session. So hopefully he and Kalis up ahead there can just tow me along for a while. Or maybe I'll just follow Robbie by. I like that too. Oof, he had a lot easier time around there than I did, though. Just like the previous lap, as soon as I hit the water, I had no grip. It just washed right out. But looks like I am going to be able to close right back up down straight here, especially at the end there where it looks like I'm still running a longer gear. Honestly, watching it back, though, I may be giving him too much respect there. I should have possibly taken that pass. Anyway, decent run through the chicane and a pretty good exit there. Watching this now, I think if I'd just stuck over on the racing line, I probably could have just driven right around him there. But yeah, I was in follow Robbie mode, so just tucked in behind there, and that didn't work out too well. I also have no idea what that hand signal means, so Robbie, if you're listening to this, please comment below. I think that's probably Kalis's bumper over on the left there. Unfortunately, my rear camera decided to die before this session. This always seems to be the case. But got a good run and close back up to manage to keep whoever was behind, and now I've got another choice to make. And we're going to choose Chris over on the left here, since he looked like he had a bit more speed, and hopefully just follow him. Whoa! Okay, we won't try to follow him there. We actually both got a bit out of sorts right before that, going over the little stream through the chicane there, since we were both carrying extra speed and going out a bit wider trying to make that pass. And unfortunately his slide and counter steer slowed him down too much for me to avoid, considering I was trying to fight my own slide at the same time. So I think I gave him the slightest nudge, but since he was already out of sorts, sent him on a little voyage. We definitely classify that into the 5% of dumbass moments. It was definitely a bit overambitious trying to take the outside line in that situation, especially over the water, and following that closely through there in those conditions. You know, was kind of setting myself up for such a mistake. Honestly, probably would have been smarter to just stick behind Robbie over on the inside, and would have had a better chance of not only getting through there cleanly, but maybe making a couple of passes at the same time. But that's not what I did. Sorry, Chris, for the punt, and let's continue. That was a little bit of a cleaner pass. And I believe those are the leaders up ahead, so despite not perfect driving, we're in 6th place here, and I think just about to close up this little bit of a gap. You can hear just the slightest lift there now to get to tuck in with the damp tires. And I can't turn down the pass with that kind of speed differential, so we'll take that one and hopefully close up to this last group here. I've got to say, the kart is feeling fantastic, so I must have nailed that intermediate setup that I kind of... Oh, jeez! Right. I forgot. That was the part where I almost threw it away. That is definitely the most angle I've ever got on one of these karts without ending up facing backwards. So I kind of want to call that a win since I didn't even lose a position, but holy crap, I can't believe I got away with that. I wasn't even trying to make the pass there, I was just trying to take the inside line to guard against the guy that I'd passed up at the top. And yeah, just realized too late that I was coming flying in on Ben in the 46 here way faster than I had expected. I think part of it was that they sort of queued up a little bit going into the corner. And yeah, the speed differential was just more than I was ready to deal with and had to drop the anchor there. But really got away with one there. That was definitely another of those 5% moments. And unfortunately, though it didn't cost me a position, it did cost a bit of ground to the guys up ahead. And maybe cost Ben some ground too. I'm not sure if he went out wide on that corner because he saw me friggin' sliding sideways toward him, or if that was unrelated, but either way, we both got a little bit of work to do here. And then this is kind of an opportunistic pass, since I had that little bit of a gap that was closing up down the straight there and cut out to him at just the right time. I figured I might as well go by. Unfortunately, then I get held up through the chicane here and can't really get by this guy, but I guess that did kind of help consolidate the pass. I pulled out here hoping that Ben would just give me a bump and send me by, but anyway, we get by on the straight, so that's the important thing, not being stuck behind through this slow part here. Now, honestly, the next couple of laps are not too exciting because we've got a gap up ahead and those guys are pretty quick, so although I think we are gaining on them, we're not doing so very quickly. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. Ben has been sticking with me but not really pushing me, so I figure I've got decent pace and have been very slowly closing the gap to the guys ahead, past a few lap carts, but not able to fully close the gap. And as we come around here, we see the white flag, so I really just want to hold on to this position, 4th place. So this is why I'm taking the inside line there, make sure he doesn't send it up the inside, and then I overcook it just slightly on the exit, get stuck in a ditch, can't get out, manage to plow it through the gravel and eventually get out with mud all over me and the camera and the cart and everywhere. And about 4 carts go by me and now I have no momentum. And there's another guy trying to get by me right here. I'm doing my best to take the inside and not let yet another guy by. Yeah, I guess if you try enough times to throw it all away, eventually you're going to succeed. And that's what happened there. He does go by me in the end here. And I think in a different circumstance, I might have tried to send it back up the inside there. But I don't think I was in that mindset at this point when I was just, bewildered at my stupidity, throwing it away on a completely unforced error on the last lap of the race, which, as you may recall, is also how my last season ended. So, could have been a 4th place, ends up being a 9th place. I guess I still made up a few from where I started, but yeah, obviously that should have gone quite a bit better. And then I spend the next, I don't know how many minutes scraping mud off the cart. Didn't have any trouble making weight though, so, there's that. Anyway, the plus side is, until that massive unforced error, I was quick. I had like 3 purple laps in a row there, and now we're going into the final. Sure, I'm starting 9th, but hey, all I gotta do is keep driving faster than everybody else and stop making stupid mistakes. Sounds easy, right? Let's see how it goes. At least we got the inside row to start this time, so that should help with surviving the first corner. Still a little bit more mid-pack than I'd like to be, but, we'll do what we can. Oh, wow. Okay. Survived that. Lost a bit of momentum. Hopefully we'll get some help from behind. And yeah, we must have, or at least nobody tried to send it up the inside there. I really wish I had the rear camera, but managed to apex that corner, and I hope that that will help us to close back up. Don't really... Whoa! Jeez! Okay, maybe it's good that we had that little bit of a gap ahead. I was just about to say I didn't like it, but I do like it when carts are spinning in front of me. I don't like the massive gap we have in front now, though. This is going to be more of a challenge to close. Almost managed to turn it around that corner there despite going over the water. And okay. Well, this could be worse, from 9th up to 4th in 1 lap, even with some space ahead of us. Okay, you're going to see somebody stick a nose in right there. I'm a little bit slower here than a lot of people. I think I'm still running a slightly longer gear, so it helps me at the end of the straights there, but especially through that left and up the hill. Oh, and yeah, same thing as the beginning of the last session. After going over that little river there, struggling with, I mean, sometimes it's understeer, sometimes it's oversteer, but regardless, it doesn't want to turn that corner. Now, I'm choosing not to go defensive right here, signaling the, close up, help me out, and hopefully with some pushing and some drafting, we can get up to these guys ahead. It is quite a gap to close, though. I'm trying to drive on the drier part of the track as much as I can here. And here I'm just trying to drive on the track as opposed to through the dirt and gravel. Turns out that's a much faster line. Still having to just feather the throttle there to get it to tuck in, but at least not washing out that lap. And now for the next few laps, I basically keep a roughly consistent pace, manage to build a little bit of a gap behind me, and roughly keeping pace with the lead 3 up ahead, but not really closing the gap to them, which isn't too surprising. The 3 of them are working together to some extent and drafting, and I'm kind of all on my own here. So let's go ahead to here, where we start catching lap carts, and it starts to get interesting. The first one didn't cost me too much, but this one is definitely going to take a few tenths off, although not as much as it could have been. I was afraid I was going to be stuck behind him through this whole sequence, Still, taking a glance back on the mini straight here, and I see the guy behind me is definitely closer than he had been. Maybe just starting to get a bit of draft off me, so got to put a good lap in here. And it was a decent one, but not enough to shake him loose. Catching another guy here in a convenient spot, get a bit of a draft and get by, but yeah, I think it's 259 still right on my tail. And we've got some more traffic just up ahead, so the rest of this race is not going to be easy. Still, we've got a bit of a gap to them, so should be okay through the slow section coming up here, and then hopefully can get them without losing too much time, maybe into the left-hander. Except, oh, we are gaining quite quickly, so nope, we're going to catch them right at the most inconvenient possible place, and have to slow up just a little bit there. Maybe I can get them both in this corner, and I can't go out wide there, so again, it's just killing my momentum, having to tuck back in behind here, and that's basically it. I gotta wait till the back straight to get by this guy, but our friend in 259 does not have to wait. Did some better driving than I did, and now he's ahead. I can at least get by the lap cart now and try to catch up to him. Maybe he's gonna get caught up by this guy up ahead. Oh, wow, he almost literally got caught up by him. Now I'm going to try and box him in here, and I was hoping that I could get a better run than the lap cart there and kind of trap him over there. That didn't work, but maybe this will work. No, not quite. Just a little bit too ambitious there. Usually on that corner, if you can manage to just force yourself ahead, you can pretty much keep it because it's almost impossible to pass in that twisty section. But only almost impossible. I just compromised myself too much with that little slide mid-corner. This might be good though. Should get a run with the draft down the straight here. Is it going to be enough to make the pass at the end? Yes. Oh, that's tight. Oh, he held on well there. Okay, had to concede that. This is more fun than just running on my own, I guess, although, you know, I'd rather be in 4th place. Definitely got a better run out of the last corner onto the main straight there. But I gained some ground in the braking zone. Holding with him through there, and that's my weakest part of the lap, thanks to that gearing. He's maybe one other one who's running slightly longer gear than a lot of people, though. Would explain why I'm not just blowing by him at the end of this straight easily. In fact, he's pulling on me through that whole sequence, so this is going to be a challenge. Okay, took the chicane pretty well, at least didn't lose any ground, and then this braking zone up ahead is usually where I'm strongest, so hopefully we can gain some ground here. And sure enough, I definitely do think I'm closer now than the lap before, and am properly in his draft. Yeah, here we go. Should be able to close right back up here and maybe have a proper opportunity on the back straight. But I feathered the throttle a little bit there. I think I was worried I was going to catch him right mid-corner here, but overdid it, and now I'm losing ground again. So yeah, definitely no opportunity at the end this time. He actually went a little bit defensive there too. And there's the white flag, so not a lot of opportunities left at this point. And he's probably going to defend that last corner again, so if I'm going to have a chance, it needs to be before that. Maybe these lap carts will help me out. Yeah, he is being held up, so that's going to let us close. And then swing a little bit wide there to try to keep my momentum without giving him a bump, and send it right up here. Alright, maybe I can get a distant draft off of this guy to just help keep the distance. But he's got some overlap on the right there. I can't get over. There's not enough space on the outside. Maybe I can just bump him and follow. No! Oh, jeez. Oh, what am I doing? I think he jumped on the brakes at the end of the straight there right before I went into him, which is probably why he went around. But honestly, the decision to try and bump draft a lapped cart just made no sense. So, I mean, I really should have made a different choice much earlier, when I first turned onto that straight, instead of trying to take the draft off of the lap cart, if I just edged over to the right, even if 259 had a little bit of overlap, I was still ahead, so I could push him over there and kind of squeeze him on the corner like he did to me a couple laps earlier, and maybe hold the position that way. But I waited too long and didn't really give myself any good options, and then I picked a really bad option. I mean, he probably doesn't even know we're coming up behind him. He's obviously not going to be expecting the bump there, and I don't know what he's going to do, so yeah. Fortunately, when I went to talk to him and apologize after the race, I found out that he'd already been spun around earlier on and was running right at the back, so didn't really cost him anything, no damage done or anything, so felt a little bit better about that, but still one I would certainly rather have back. Those are always the worst. I hate making a mistake that impacts somebody else, like crashing into somebody else, spinning them out, that kind of thing. Like, if my stupid mistake only affects me, it's still frustrating, but it's better. Now, all that said, mistakes notwithstanding, it was actually a pretty successful weekend. I mean, on a dry or mostly dry track, I've never really been on the leader's pace before, so that's pretty cool. And 5th place, even though I wish it had been 4th, or, I wish it had been 1st, but 5th is pretty good. I think that's my best finish since Winter Series of last year. So there's really something to build on here, and if I can just make not quite so many unforced errors, I might be able to snag a podium next time. Let's hope.